What is up, everyone? This right here is my full non-spoiler review of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. A non-spoiler review, of course, but I do like to tee things up with a little light plot synopsis. Digging into it, this movie sees Scott Lang, Cassie Lang, Hope Van Dyne, Janet Van Dyne, and Hank Pym all sucked into the quantum realm via a device that Cassie makes, something she describes as a satellite for deep space, but quantum. While they're down there, they explore the unusual environment, they meet a whole bunch of very interesting creatures, and they also come face to face with the Phase 5 big bad, Kang. I'm gonna kick things off with the positives here, the first one being Paul Rudd, who can seemingly do no wrong in this role. He's as effortlessly charming as ever, has spot-on comedic timing and tone, and maximum chemistry with everyone around him, and I would say that chemistry is especially important in this movie because of the many, many things that Quantumania is exploring. I would say family is the strongest, and the moments that focused on that were my favorite parts of the entire film. With that, kind of think superheroes are just like us, but not really vibes. You know, picture the group having a traditional looking family dinner, but at dinner they're talking about things like high-tech items and heroes day-to-day and quantum related things. That material is so much fun to watch, and that's where I found the comedy to be the most successful, and specifically when it comes to delivering effective humor that also has depth and adds to character. And it is also where I found the characters' personalities shining the most. Digging into some of those characters now, I thought Kathryn Newton was a great new addition to the franchise, stepping into the role of Cassie Lang here. That character doesn't get that much of an arc, but she still has undeniable screen presence, a whole lot of personality, a very well-defined drive, meaningful goals, and I also really appreciated the change that she initiates in Scott. As for Hope, she does get lost in the mix here quite often and, is probably the least interesting character of the bunch this time around. And really, Hank's experience while on this particular adventure isn't much stronger than hers. It kind of feels like Hope and Hank are more so along for Scott, Cassie, and Janet's rides in the movie. And Janet, by the way, is an especially strong force in this film. Michelle Pfeiffer is just absolutely brimming with authority, and it makes it so you just can't take your eyes off of her ever. And she's also got a real sense of urgency to her too, and I found that wound up being key to upping the stakes and the tension of the narrative. And while I don't think this was necessarily the best setup for Kang, I do want to give Michelle Pfeiffer a little bit of credit in that department because she plays, I found at least, a very significant role in defining and making you believe in the threat that Kang poses. As for Kang specifically now, I kind of feel a little bad because I don't want to disappoint anyone with this comment, and I know many of you are very, very excited for Kang in the MCU, but I do have to give you my honest reaction to the movie as always. I was a little bit underwhelmed by him in this particular scenario. Jonathan Majors is incredible, as he always is, but it kind of felt like all of Kang's gravitas and the threat that he posed came more so from Majors as an individual than anything else. And of course, I don't know what was originally on the page, and so I can't say this with the utmost certainty, but to me, it felt like Majors was elevating what was on the page and doing that way more than he ever should have had to. And also it doesn't help that the rest of the film around him doesn't quite come together as well as it needed to. It's a little bit of a tough thing to put into words here, but I guess it's one of those situations where a movie is just packed, maybe too packed, with good ideas, and then they're either mismatched or don't elevate one another as much as they needed to. And what winds up happening is they wind up diminishing the value of each other and overall making the movie feel messy and unfocused. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything for you in this review, but I do think my reaction to the movie's mid-credit scene is what tipped the scale for me in terms of positive versus negative when you're dealing with a very mixed review. So this is one of the first times I remember feeling underwhelmed by a mid-credit scene, or at least a mid-credit scene that does have heavy narrative value for the future of the franchise. as cool as future film teases can be, they do get some of their power from how successful the movie that you just watched was, and if it set it up well. And, I was a little shocked by how little I felt when that particular scene popped up. Kind of want to backtrack here now. Rolling through some of the newer characters we get in the film, I thought Katie O'Brien was absolutely fantastic as Gentora, the leader of the freedom fighters in the quantum realm. Just a really great example right there of someone managing to make a really big impression with a little amount of screen time. Similarly, William Jackson Harper is excellent as Quaz, another freedom fighter who's also a telepath. The humor that character brings to this film is just so heavily dependent on pitch-perfect delivery, and I really can't imagine anyone out there nailing it better than he did. And also, I love David Dastmalchian's new character, Veb. Expect some very, very well-executed and effective laughs in this movie via Veb. Also, you can expect some great effects work from Veb too. Veb and a number of other quantum realm characters look really great. I guess whether they're done via practical effects with super creative hair, makeup, and costume design, or digitally. And some of the environments here too look fantastic. Just really vibrant, super creative, and highly detailed stuff that does encourage you, to lean in hopes of discovering even more. But then there are also some other environments where the seams are showing quite a bit. Most noticeable for me were certain landscapes where it was distractingly apparent that you're looking at actors standing in a green screen environment or using volume technology. But really, the absolute worst element of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania as far as the visuals go, it's MODOK. It's been 3 days since my screening of this movie, and honestly, I'm still kind of in shock over the final design of that character. And yes, I know who MODOK is. I know it's a part of the character that he looks odd, if not disturbing, but it needs to be odd and disturbing. It needs to be odd and disturbing in world. What we get here just looks plain old wrong, and it took me out of the film. All right, I'm going to score this one now. I'm giving Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania 2.5 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Decimal Movie scale. It's a movie with a bunch of high highs and also a whole bunch of low lows. And I do want to point out, just because this seems to be coming up quite a bit lately, I am mixed on this movie. That does not mean that the whole thing is trash and I'm reaching for things to like. It simply means that I like some elements and I did not like others. But that being said, I want to go back to an earlier point I made. I am mixed and leaning the slightest bit negative on Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I am still very, very eager to see where these characters go next, but it's not the same kind of enthusiasm I usually have at the end of a Marvel movie. That is where I'm going to leave you on Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. You know what comes next. You got to go see the movie and hit the comment section below, because I love getting your thoughts as well. And as I often say before I sign off from these reviews, put your thoughts there. You could agree with me, you could disagree with me, you could agree or disagree with each other. Just do so respectfully. That is all I ask. Have a good one. I'll see you soon with more movie reviews.